one of the things I tell young men, well, and young women as well, but the young men really need to hear this more, I think, is that you should be a monster, an absolute monster, and then you should learn how to control it.
Being aggressive. That means you are ready to attack. As I always point out, this doesn't mean you walk around with your chest puffed out, ready to bang heads with everyone around you. What it does mean is that you are going to get after it. You are going to move fast. You are going to think fast. You are going to outthink and outmaneuver the enemy. If I think the enemy is going to attack me, I'm going to attack them first.
Come on.
Greatness is not only talked about, it's about the work that you put in.
It's about the work you put in, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jared Gray, a.k.a. Boomer, with my guys, Nino, this way. My guy, Mace, is joining us for the IDP Extravaganza IDP podcast with Head to Head. We have a loaded show coming. We're going to get right to it. Mace, tell us a little about you and where you at.
Yeah, find me on Twitter at CaliKing49er17. I write for the IDP Army. Just doing a lot of draft stuff. I got some rankings and stuff coming out soon. Thanks for having me on. You guys are my guys. You guys hit the Senior Bowl. I hit the Shrine Bowl. Let's put our heads together. Let's, get through these weeds and let's get after it, boys.
Yeah, let's bang away. Saw some of your guys down at the Senior Bowl as well. So, all right. So
let's get it.
let's go.
I'm ready for Mace. Mace, just drop us some knowledge. Give us some guys that you like.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're going to start off defensive tackle. So, all right, I'll just go ahead and say I'm not going to say any safeties or corners. I haven't really done them due diligence. I got Christian Gonzalez from Oregon, but I feel like everyone kind of knows him. And then Porter Jr. as well. But those are really the only guys I've got to. So I'm going to leave those guys out for now. But what I got starting off, defensive tackle, Gervin Dexter out of Florida. Dude, 6'6", 313. His RAS score, the RAS, 9.21 out of 10. He's got great length, huge frame. Like I said, 6'6", 313. That's big boy numbers there. Explosion, great first step. He battles the split through double teams. When he does get doubled, he's kind of a player that looks at it as a challenge, I feel like. He's not always the first guy there, but when he does get there, he's definitely going to bring you down. His 10-yard split is 1.81. I mean, it's not exactly what you're going to look for out of an elite guy, but out of a nose tackle, it's a pretty good score. He's got a 4.88 40, but I don't really look at the 40s for those guys. And like I said, he's not always the first guy there, but you can bet if there's an extended play, he's going to shed a guy and get it on that action. Number 2, I didn't realize how much I like Florida that much until I saw Brandon Cox Jr. as well. Saw him at the Shrine. He stuck out like a sore thumb, man. He's an intense runner who has a handful of pass rush moves, amazing strength at first contact. I'd like to think twice before asking a collegiate tight end to block him. Maybe like a tight end too. Might not be able to handle him either if he's got smoke under him. Athletic enough to stay with the running back in coverage. Effective from both standing and runner stance. His RAS was a 7.03, so not as dusty as his counterpart Gervin Dexter, but he's 6'4", 253. Not bad for the edge there. He can easily identify standard offensive running concepts. Solid pull swim technique at the line of scrimmage. He has the ability to move off the line of scrimmage after the ball snap and blink his running back in coverage. He's hungry in pursuit. I think it's more of if he wants to be intense, he'll be super freaking intense, man. He's nuts off the edge. I'm thinking he's going to go in the early third round. Someone's going to get a steal. My linebacker, really some guy that's caught a lot of traction because of his pro day out of Michigan State, Ben Van Sumeren. This guy he's really just starting how to play the linebacker position. He's only been doing it for 2 years. He was recruited to Michigan Blue as a running back, played some fullback as well. So no one really hates on him more than the Michigan guys, dude. I post something about him. Everyone's like, he's trash, he's garbage, he's washed, he's blah. I'm like, dude, just because he plays for state, give this guy a chance, man. 6'1", 237, 9.72 RAS score, relative athletic score. But that's from his pro day. We see a lot of these guys throw out their pro day numbers, and they're pretty significantly better than what they were at the combine, even though it is a month later or whatever. Still something to kind of be like, okay, well, he wasn't invited to the combine, so that's really all we have, right? He can easily identify standard offensive running concepts, which is good for him. That's something that you want to see, that IQ, especially out of a guy that just started playing the position. Maybe that comes from him trying to find the lane as a running back, maybe something like that. He uses his hands to throw off blockers and guard. Uses the outside arm to uppercut and break through. So he's got a decent set of standard moves But it's really going to take a team to either scoop him up in the UDFA or hopefully he gets, picked up in that last 7th round. Maybe someone like the Patriots who was there at the Shrine Bowl saw what he can do. He's got that raw athleticism that we saw. He can – I don't know, the league's going to like a tweener kind of deal, big nickel. So to have a linebacker who can stay with a running back and cover those athletic tight ends, but also stick it up the middle, call plays, and just be nasty and aggressive, which he can do on the goal line. He wasn't used a lot as far as pressuring or getting after the quarterback. He only had 7 pressures, I believe, last year with 1 sack. But I feel like he's got canned heat, and I would love to see this kid get a shot, even if it's just on special teams, just to see how he can blow up and kind of develop as a player there.
Love this guy. Love this guy. He's a freak. Real quick, you mentioned Cox, right? Do you think that dismissal from the team will hurt his draft stock at all?
Yeah, and I think that's I think you said twice.
Yeah. He
Oh,
says
yikes. Yeah, it probably could. I mean, you don't want if you can't coach a guy or talk to a guy, or if you can't even get him on the field, then how valuable actually is he to your team? Not good for the locker room either. So I don't know if it does bump him down. Hopefully that gives him a chip to get right. I mean, we saw a couple of years, I guess more than a couple of years back, Tyrann Mathieu. He was supposed to be a problem child, blah, blah, blah. Player that he used to play with, took him under his wing, got him right, and he was, pretty nasty, if not still pretty nasty. You know what I mean? Maybe not for IDP, but he's one of the nastiest dudes in the league. So, whoever gives him a chance is definitely rolling the dice. Yeah, that's why I'm going 3rd round. But if we see him fall to the 4th, dude, that's cash money if he ends up paying out. You know what I'm saying? That's after the 3rd. I don't know, towards the end of the 3rd, 4th round. That's kind of where you start throwing your darts, anyways. You know what I mean? So why wouldn't you want to do it? He's just got the skills and the mind, or I guess everything but the mindset.
Low risk, high reward.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Fun went over myself, man. So, all right. So since I didn't do a safety, I have a second linebacker.
Let's go. I love it.
Yeah, Noah Sewell. Probably butchering that name. Sorry, I'm horrible with names. But dude, 6'3", 251, insane intensity. Just freakish, man. You don't want to get in this guy in a dark alley with nowhere to go because he's going to beat you up. His RAS is 9.04. He looks like an NFL linebacker, and he really has since his freshman year. Like I saw him because of his brother, kind of put him on, and I'm like, okay, his brother plays at Oregon. Holy crap, dude. This guy is nuts. Like I thought he was going to be a 1st rounder. That's kind of what I had him on, a back-end 1st round grade. Since then, Jack Campbell's kind of bumped him, but I have him as my solid number 2 for what the position is. He stays square to the quarterback when he's in coverage with the running back. He looks like a prototypical linebacker that was made in a lab, dude. Like from even his swag, bro, that he wears on the field. Like, dude looks the part, dude plays the part, dude is the part, in my opinion. Then my last one, your pick, the guy that you put me on today, Keon White for Georgia Tech. 6'5", 285, RAS score of almost perfect. We got 9.91. He started his collegiate career at Old Dominion as a tight end in 2017. Unfortunately, he didn't get any touchdowns, under 200 yards, I think under like 20 passes. But dude looks athletic as hell. Really good off the snap, quick. He has moves, but leaves a lot to be desired. Like he has you sitting there after his film. You're sitting there just like salivating, thinking like, dude, if this guy gets his stuff and gets it going, he is going to be filthy. Like if he goes on as a rotational guy for, I don't know, a team like the Raiders with Crosby, or Niners with the Bosa, just saying that for me. Exactly, dude. I see your face here, and that says it all, bro. That would just be nuts because he's not only going to get the skill set and the tools, but he's going to have that opportunity to just go out there and expand stuff. Moon, what's up, bro? But, those are my guys. What do you guys think?
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm sitting here talking with my mic. So for me, I know that Nino's gonna be got his love on Ben and stuff like that. But I've been a Keon White guy. I have stayed on it. Watching him at the Senior Bowl, he has the best spin move in the class, which is crazy. And this is hard for me to say, but he has the best spin move I've seen since Dwight Freeney, and it's a real thing. And his athleticism is elite. He looks good, and I'm with you. I mean, the reason I look like that is like, man, can you imagine he gets to sit and be rotation with Bosa? You better not sleep
Yeah.
So because that would be
No.
scary. I mean, as a Niners, that's just reloading. As a Niner, Niner fans would be salivating, like you said, and that's a big one for me. I love the Ben. Your guy from Michigan State. He's got tools. He's a crazy athlete. I think that he's going to be very good. Sewell I have him as my number 3, right?
Okay.
I have Simpson as my number 1 and Jack Campbell as my number 2.
Sure.
But my number 4 guy is going to light it up. So I'll bring him up later.
Yeah, I already know who that is. So for me, I think Sewell on a lot of people might have dropped down 2 or 3 in their rankings because kind of like a Miles Murphy this year, the numbers weren't as intense as the year before. But if you look at tape, which everybody on this show tonight watches tape, they understand, the production was there. The numbers might not have been there, but Sewell's production was there. So
Sure.
He's a dog. I love your list. I love the fact that you went out there and dove into my guy White because he deserves the limelight, man. He's a dude.
Well, thanks for putting me on. Honestly, him outside of Judon on the Patriots too, man.
Ooh, yeah.
That
On
can
the other
dream, right?
Man, no, hey, get me fired up, bro. Get me fired up. I will literally take Andre Carter falling in the 3rd, bro, to the Patriots all day. Let Bill develop that dude.
Yeah.
I love it. Give me one guy you're not too locked in on yet, but you think could sizzle. I know I'm throwing you off chalk here.
Me?
Yeah.
Isaiah is it Foskey?
Yep,
Foskey?
Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame. I've heard that he didn't really do too well at the All-Star stuff. So watching his tape, I don't know, he looks like another one of those guys that was pressed out of a machine, and he was just put on this earth to do what his position is and his work is. So he might be a guy that is falling as well. People are kind of forgetting about, but I'd like to see him go to a situation that's favorable to him so he can maybe kind of step up and get that chip going,
Yeah, he had a rough 2-day start to the Senior Bowl, first 2 days. And then day 3, he had 3 sacks in a row, and we were like,
oh, shit. Okay.
Okay. I mean, that dude, I don't know how he gets a helmet to fit his big ass head, but I mean, that dude has a melon. I mean, it is huge.
Oh no!
Seeing that dude
He's
live, I was like,
it is.
Yeah.
We appreciate you, Mace.
He did. He had a rough start, but he came around. Yeah. We're gonna bring in the next guy, Ronnie Mace, my guy. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Appreciate you.
One guy out. Next guy in.
Hey.
Ronnie.
How's the
how we
audio?
doing?
Is it working? I'm good, man. I got a whole new setup over here. The background's blurred. This is my bedroom. Don't look at that. But how's the audio? How's the camera? Everything sound good? This is my first time.
Everything's great. We appreciate it. Tell the viewers where you're from. What do you do? And
sure. So I work with a website called Gridiron Ratings, which is the brainchild of Jeff DiMatteo. And actually, a lot of what you'll hear me say tonight are Jeff and I's takes. But
I know Jeff very well. So
Jeff is a stud. I would be willing to say that he knows more about the actual game of football and studies it more than most of the most highly sought after guys in the IDP space. He is not.
Jeff's a very, very good guy. Very good guy.
Dude, he coached football for a long time in college. Like, he knows his stuff. And so I learn a lot from him, and then I formulate my takes with him. So it's Gridiron Ratings, and then me. I am doing a lot of really, really, I hope, industry-changing things this year around mental health and my own personal story, everything from suicide all the way to triumph. And I'm talking with some people that I can't mention yet, but hopefully some very big things happen around mental health. And that's really my role moving forward, is to be an advocate for mental health awareness within the fantasy space. And I just started that a week ago because I've been in therapy for 5 years waiting until I was ready to get the ball rolling. And I am now. This is the season for it, and I'm stoked.
It's something that a lot of people don't really talk about. And, we appreciate that. It's crazy. We talk about it in football, we talk about it in life, but fantasy football, I've lost friends because of fantasy football. And It's a game. And people need to realize, like, get that side of it instead of taking it so personal, but it can be very personal. So I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. I think this industry is amazing. We need to be better to each other, and that is going to be my motto this year. Let's talk IDP. I'm not
Let's
that
do it.
interesting. These players are, though.
Let's do it. Let's get into it. Ronnie, tell us your guys. Give us a couple guys that you really, really like.
All right, I heard a mention of the number one guy I wanted to bring up. This is coming from Jeff about 4 months ago. Jeff DiMatteo called me on the phone and was like, you need to pay attention to Jack Campbell. I was like, what? He brought him up. Jeff doesn't spend a lot of time on Twitter, but he has been noodling Jack Campbell for a while. And then he had that combine, right? First of all, athletic score from the combine, 9.98. It's elite. But the thing is, if you look at it and you're a box score guy that only looks at 40 time and size, he's 6'5", and runs like a 4.65 40. You'll move on. And that is a mistake. Will Anderson is the highest graded player in this class from Gridiron ratings when we've done our research. Bijan is actually number 2. Number 3 of all positions is Jack Campbell. He is, if I can ramble for 1 minute, I wrote this down. I'm going to read it. This is the third best player in this class, regardless of position, right? Campbell provides a unique blend of physical and mental attributes that make him a rare specimen at the linebacker position. He's the 2022 Butkus winner. He reminds me so much of Luke Kuechly, but Jeff actually has the opinion that he is almost more similar to Patrick Willis, just a little bit less athletic. He reads and reacts instantly. Everyone fell in love with Chad Muma last year because he was the most cerebral IDP player in the class. That's Jack Campbell. He is incredible, sitting and being a commander of the defense and knowing where to be in the right time at the right place, and he makes every single type of play. He hits the stat sheet from tackles to interceptions to pass deflections to sacks, and he does it consistently all around when you look at what you consider from a linebacker. But his explosiveness at the contact point ends any fury forward progress, and that's my favorite thing about him. When Jeff went through and broke down some of his film with me, it was like watching Jacked Up back in the day when the NFL used to love hard hits and they thought it was cool. This guy, defenders run at him, and then they stop moving forward. It is amazing. A lot of linebackers can tackle and run. He has solid ball skills. He can cover as well. He does it all, and he'll have no trouble in cover 2 schemes, taking the deeper mid, being asked to stick to a tight end, that sort of thing. He's set to do it all. Best fit, if he goes to the New York Giants, the Las Vegas Raiders, or the Houston Texans, he is going to be the number 1 IDP player in this class, period. If he goes to Jacksonville, maybe not.
Yeah, I don't think he goes to Jacksonville. So, I mean, I think they're too deep at the position. So, he's going to be
run through my next 2 guys or just stop. Okay.
Nope.
All
Let's
right,
hear we'll go from there.
Oh, go.
You know a guy whose initials are D-O, and there's a lot of letters in his name? His name's Demarvion Overshown. He's a name that you're going to see pop up a lot. If you're watching this episode, the IDP community is going to fall in love with him, and a lot of people already are. Once draft season hits, once people still get caught up to all of their film, he is a converted safety who plays with a violent streak. If you pay attention to IDP, you would have heard of Divine Diablo over the last couple of years. He's not the same player, but converted safety playing IDP is becoming a trend. The NFL is moving smaller. It is moving faster. It's moving towards guys that can cover more ground. Box safeties and that type of linebacker are often the same player, just playing a different role on the defense. So he hits that mold. He has no issue playing behind the run or playing the run behind the line of scrimmage. He lines up as an edge to get after the quarterback. He drops into coverage, and he does all of those things well. At the NFL level, it seems like he would go somewhere with an aggressive defensive coordinator that is willing to mix up blitzes and or change personnel in a way that allows him to get after the quarterback. This is very audacious to say, but think Micah Parsons. Just, not a generational athlete. Overshown's probably going to go in round 3 or 4 of the draft. And if he does that, he might be a sneaky value in fantasy drafts because there will be guys taken ahead of him. But if I'm looking for Dynasty, right, this whole discussion for me, I should have prefaced and said, I don't care about this first season. I look at this stuff like who's going to help my team for the next 3 years. He is a guy that is going to do that. If he goes to the Giants again, the Dallas Cowboys, though, might be my favorite fit, and I'll explain that in a second. Or Chicago, he will slide in. Sorry, all of our fans of Jack. But Sanborn's out. Put in Overshown, right? That's the way it would work. And if he goes to Dallas, though, he and Micah Parsons are actually interchangeable players. If you go back and watch the tape of Micah Parsons and watch it of this guy, you'll walk away thinking, oh man, he is Micah Parsons. He's just a little bit less athletic. Same versatility. He's going to crush. So I love him. He for us is, I believe he is the 8th overall IDP player on our list, but he might be my favorite value at linebacker. And then the last guy, we'll go to the defensive line, Myles Murphy. Myles Murphy is being overlooked right now. He is actually really, really good. He's a top 15 overall player for us in our grades of this entire class. He seems like a forgotten man in the edge class, though. He has the size and skill to play at high levels on Sundays. He was deployed at Clemson, and if you talk to Clemson fans that know football, they will tell you that half of these, the superhuman reputation that other defenders got while they were there was because Myles Murphy was making their job easy. He really, I would say, just on that note, James Skalski and Trenton Simpson are probably the two guys that benefited the most from Murphy, but they're both good players in their own right. I don't want to take anything away from them. But he collapses gaps. He holds edges really well. He takes on double teams at a regular pace in college against the best players on the offensive line. That is the big thing for me. He was treated like the best player on that defense pretty much the whole time he played, or at least in that section of the defensive line. So he got NFL level attention and he succeeded. And when he goes to the NFL, he's not going to get double teamed every time. So he has the ability actually to potentially outscore the majority of other edge players and defensive line players this rookie season, simply if he goes to a situation like Houston or San Francisco or Cleveland where he can slot in, he can be put into the role that he is made for, and he can get after the quarterback. Myles Murphy, Marvian Overshown, and Jack Campbell. Remember those names, put them on your list, draft them, and then thank Jeff DiMatteo first, and then maybe me later, but thank the IDP community because everyone's doing great work. And I expect these three guys to be hot names by the draft.
Go ahead.
I'm done.
So I a little bit about Myles. I touched on Myles Murphy a little bit with his production this last season, how it was down. But I think it was more so teams and not just not being soloed out. And also Davis on the other, if he is that dude.
Yeah, I like it. I think Myles Murphy's a guy that seems like he's dropping, and we're hearing other names like Trenton Simpson and different players from his team, let alone other players in the draft. Love Campbell. We've always we've been on the Campbell train. He's a guy. He legit is a guy. Probably had the best hair at the combine, to be honest with you. But he looks how a quarterback looks like a quarterback. He looks like a quarterback. You know what I mean? And he is a quarterback of the defense, and he'll be a green dot guy 100% with you. I think he's going to be he's going to be a legit leader, in the NFL community, and long time coming. Like I'm with you, the Texans would be elated to have him. I mean, 100%.
Best landing spot for all the linebackers, though, of course.
Yeah. So, anybody that I can tell you, there's a guy, a beat writer from the Texans, that literally asked every single defensive player the same question: how would it feel to go to a DeMeco Ryans ran defense?
Yep.
And he asked the same question to 60 players, and I was like,
"Bruh,
okay, bro. I mean, I get it. We love your coach too, but my goodness,
life sucks as a Texans fans. I don't blame their beat writers.
Yeah, they got a hot beat right now, so they're excited. They got a hot beat somewhat.
Yeah. So that's a good one.
So you mentioned Campbell possibly going to a linebacker going to Chicago. Do we think now that they would draft a linebacker in the first 2 rounds, seeing how they signed TJ Edwards and Jermaine Edwards, right?
I will be honest. My notes on these guys are mostly right before free agency kicked off. I haven't gone back and revisited. So sure, that's actually a great point. Typo.
It's a
cut it out.
It's going to happen, you know. But the thing is we're not talking like Tremaine Edmonds is young here, but he signed a massive contract. And
4 years, right?
Yeah, so I'm wondering, you know, really which IDP linebacker I want more, because whoever plays the middle is the guy I want. And I think it's going to be Tremaine. So
I can tell you who it's not going to be.
This is what I think is his theory, is that Tremaine Edmonds isn't actually as good as his contract. And if one of these guys gets drafted to Chicago, he's going to take his job in the first 2 years.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
That's a bold, hot take. But if I wanted to play devil's advocate,
Tremaine Edmonds was a headhunter in college, and his brother Terrell Edmonds is a headhunter, and you know, as a safety, they give you they're smart players, so they play them smart. With the Bears, it don't matter who's there. We've seen that every single linebacker eats. Yeah. The backup linebacker eats. You know, there. So. Right. That's where I will tell you, I think this could be Tremaine Edmonds' breakout season.
I love that. Can I tell y'all a little side note about Jack Sanborn?
100%.
I was in an industry league last year with like half the guys in the IDP space, and I drafted him really early in a Dynasty startup. And it wasn't because I'm super smart. It's because my theory is that my fantasy league and Draft Sharks and their projection model, this was literally this time of the year when they launched their first projections. He was like projected as the 18th overall linebacker. And I thought to myself, that's not right, but I'm going to keep an eye on this guy. And it turned out once again that often these tools that we build and that we labor over are smarter than us. And I think those guys actually pulled his projections down and then rose them back up as the season went on. But the model was right. And we were all wrong about Jack Sanborn. And I think
I'm a flex, because you can look at 40 or 50 videos that we did this offseason, and I said, hey guys, you need to go get Jack Sanborn before this trade
happens. Credit to you then, man. I had no idea.
You can ask Nino. I said, hey, this is my guy. Like I am planting a flag on this. Because I think that Roquan's going to move. I think, you know, I don't trust anybody there. And I said, when it happens, Jack Sanborn's going to eat. And then he did.
All right.
And then he got injured, and then I traded him.
So what happened is Draft Sharks watched your show, and they updated their projections because of it. And you should feel very, very special.
I'm gonna...
My guy.
But anyway, sorry, I rambled a lot there. I know we're almost out of time.
No, we appreciate it, and this is your time to shine, and we appreciate you coming on.
I got a question, though. I'm going to ask everybody the same thing, so they better come with one guy in the pocket. Give me a sleeper. One guy that, you know, that may not be top tier, but, you know, middle of the pack that could come out and shine first year in IDP League.
Easy money, baby. The Tennessee Volunteers missed the college football playoffs because this guy missed one game. They lost to the South Carolina Gamecocks. They got blown out 64-35 or something like that. It was insane. And it was because Jeremy Banks had something happen. He made the coaches mad, and they made a mistake. They left him at home and didn't tell the team till they showed up and played South Carolina, and the defense was lost. The Tennessee football team and that defense that played out of its mind, considering the amount of snaps they had to play, was not the same without Jeremy Banks. Of all of the guys that's not getting a ton of attention right now, I've watched every single snap he's played of his career. He's actually really good. He's not going to blow your mind athletically, but he knows, kind of like Jack Campbell, he knows what to do between the ears, and those guys typically find a role.
I absolutely love that you mentioned Banks, because like you said, he is a high football IQ guy. He's wicked good at angles, just like Sanborn. I think people are sleeping on him, and someone who gets him mid-round are going to get a steal.
The Vols got a few guys that are pretty tricky.
I get Tate Stern vibes from him a lot. So
yeah,
okay,
that.
Okay,
but bring me back on sometimes, guys. Let's talk again about IDP, and I would love to hop on at some point and have an episode that isn't about football, and we talk a little bit about mental health and like our experiences within the industry.
100%, we'll do that.
Appreciate you.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right, we're just waiting on Iggy to hop on. He should be on here any minute, and then we'll get on to the next guest. We can bring Mace back on, have him talk one more guy. Like, you ready, Mace? One more guy? You got one more guy for us? There
Thanks,
he is.
Ronnie. We appreciate you coming
Mace,
in.
you got one more guy for us?
You're muted.
I got you. You're muted. Your mic's not on.
All right, okay, all right. My bad. All right, I'll be super quick. Moro Jomo, defensive tackle out of Texas. I've seen this guy in like every single mock draft for every like solo team, analysts, fans, people from Texas. People are raving about this guy, but it's almost like it's a wave that's getting ready to form, man. And the second this draft hits, if he does get a good landing spot, I think it's going to be really good for him. 29 reps on bench press. His 10-yard split, 1.77. He's 6'3", 292, so he's got that size. I think he's kind of scheme dependent, though. I think he likes having a guy next to him. I'd love to see him by himself, though, just tear stuff up, man, because he is super aggressive. 5 years started at Texas, so he's been in. 5 years at Texas, 3 consecutive seasons starting. 42 career collegiate games. I think he was the oldest player there last year. So he's kind of taken on a veteran presence and a role and kind of, I feel like, guided guys in, you know what I mean? In a way that a lot of other players don't really get to experience unless they last in the league or they last on a team like he did. In 2020, he was used on the edge, so he does have that versatility, but I do feel like he's best used on the interior. 69 pressures, 5 sacks. Not bad for a guy that's on the interior again. 95 combined tackles, 13.5 tackles for loss. He just gets after it. He's one of those guys that is just a super high motor guy. I hate to use the same repetitive term that everyone else wants to use, but that's really what he is, man. You get him on a rotation. Even for IDP, start him on a week or so if you really, really have to, and he might actually get you something given the right system.
I'd love to see Ojamo go to the Rams.
I wouldn't as a Niners fan, but I mean, they would probably love that.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people saying Dallas as well, maybe even in Philly. We'll see what happens.
Philly would be great just because they've lost so much. So I think it would be another good landing spot. So
I think they're going to load up. They don't really have a choice, like you just said. For sure.
I love it. Mace, I appreciate you coming in with that last second guy for us, coming in the clutch. I appreciate you, my guy.
Hey, anytime, man. Thank you guys for coming on. Thank you for letting me on your baby, dude. This is your guys' platform. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
We appreciate you, my man. All right, let's bring in. There he is,
Iggy?
the man. Iggy, what's good?
What's up, guys? How's it going, man? Hope y'all doing
Good.
well.
Very well. And yourself?
Happy, bro. Stoked to be here. Been snowing 2 days over here, so I like the snow, so it's all good. I want skiing tomorrow, so I'm happy about it. Doesn't feel like spring, but we're here. Draft's right around the corner.
Let's get it.
Yeah, really excited about that. Well,
Yeah,
let's get right to it. Tell the guys, I've known you for a long time. Just tell the guys what you're about and what do you do?
Absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate you, Jared, Nino, guys, for being here for sure. IDP Iggy, man. I've been playing IDP now for 13 years. I guess if you started on the draft, and I just enjoy that side of the ball. On Twitter, teamed up with the sports affiliation with a bunch of guys I met from the expo, and we're working on getting everything released and ready to go. But yeah, we're writing IDP. I do betting. I also cover basketball. So doing a lot of things, but IDP is always the one closest to my heart,
The jailhouse bets. The jailhouse bets. I love them.
Thanks, man.
Real quick, tell everybody about your fantasy league that I've been a part of.
Yeah, man, Jared and OG, not too many of us. There's only 16 the first year. Some of them haven't played a year or something like that. So I really appreciate it. But it's all for Kawasaki's disease, getting awareness out there about something not too many people know about. It affects children. It's the leading heart disease acquired in developed nations, which if you're watching this, you're probably in a developed nation. And not too many people know about it. So just spreading the word about that. Also getting people to play IDP for the first time. There's 8 non-offensive starting positions, 7 offensive positions. So it's a lot of fun. Shallow bench, only 5 bench and 16 teams with that many starters. It gets pretty interesting and forces you to play, but it always gets at least 3 or 4 people in the IDP that's never played. Some people that said they've had a bad experience. I'm like, just come on in. You don't got a whole lot online. come and do it. But yeah, we make tie-dye shirts for it. This is one of the extras, but sending it across the world, I got to send something to Brazil, something to the UK, but
I'm still waiting on mine.
you got to win. I don't know how you didn't make the playoffs last year.
I don't know. That was crazy.
Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, we'll get you in. We're expanding. We were at 96 last year. The goal, it has to go by increments of 16. So it'll be 112, probably, maybe 128. So, but we'll get you in one. So
let's go. I'm ready.
We're excited.
I'm excited
all right,
too.
Well, let's hear about your guys.
Yeah, so I didn't know how this was going to break down. I didn't know if we were all going to be on. So I got a few of them, man. I got to pull up my notes here as well. Of course, I got Wilk Anderson, man, leading the way, Alabama. What can you say? I mean, he's definitely going to be a top prospect. Nick Saban coached, 6'4", 235. It's just 51 tackles, had 10 sacks over there with Alabama. But he's I think he's going to be ready to go. I think he's going to be a top 10 pick for sure. I think somebody's going to want to go out there in this era, go get somebody that can get after the quarterback. Hey, that's the name of the game. When they put the premium on the quarterback, guess what came next? The outside edge pressure. Those guys are making the best money. I feel like the guys that used to be the best athletes were running backs. Now they're defensive ends and edge pressure guys. And Will Anderson's one of those guys, man. 6'4", 235, 4'6". I mean, just a lot coming at you from this position. Y'all just want me to run through them all, or how are we doing this?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, cool. All right, so then I got Miles Murphy.
Going.
Yeah, got Miles Murphy going right here. Next out of Clemson. I just think that he's got potential as well. Kind of went with the focus on stuff that would help IDP players, sacks if you're in a sack-heavy league. I also got some tackle guys in there. But, man, 6'5", 268, he's got a 33.75-inch arm reach, almost as fast, 4'7", so right there almost as fast as Anderson, but a little bigger. And he got 6.5 sacks with Clemson last year, forced a fumble. Clemson didn't have their best year, so maybe he's kind of looked down because of that. But, man, he's just so huge and so fast. And I don't know how some of these tackles and tight ends are going to be able to stop him with the edge pressure. But his ground game, due to his size and his being able to keep that length out, and really keep a tackle off of him, he's able to set that edge and really get that ground game set too. So I think he's a two-way player. I think there's no way this guy's going out of the first round. Clemson's still developing talent, even though they didn't have a successful year by their standards and their fan standards. I still think Miles Murphy's an excellent player, excellent athlete coming from that team, that program, that, I still think can rise to prominence, So number 3, kind of went a little different here, man. Cedric Gray, he plays for the Tar Heels. Man, he's a do-it-all athlete. I don't know how he's going to be utilized. It's kind of like that hybrid role. I just said quarterback position. Now all of a sudden defensive ends and outside linebackers are important. Now all of a sudden tight ends have to be able to do it all, block, go out like Jason Witten. Everybody wants that prototype these days. And that's forcing this hybrid safety / linebacker to appear. As you guys know, we're not playing as much traditional. Sometimes there's 2 linebackers. Sometimes there's 1 linebacker. Sometimes there's no linebackers. But guys like this, man, Cedric Gray, that, underrated program. I love what Mac Brown's doing over there, with the Tar Heels kind of helping out. But 6'2", 230, and he just had 144 tackles in college, 3 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions, 6 passes broke up. I mean, in a sack, So he's going to be able to do it all. In 2021, he had 99 tackles, so this is not a fluke, okay? This guy's laying the wood, and I think he's going to be utilized in some way special. Coming up next, I have, kind of a wild card here, Tyree Wilson. I think that he has potential coming out of Texas Tech. He's played in the system where they passes a lot. There's a lot of passing going on in the Big 12. He's 6'6", 271, man, with a 35-inch arm. I just kind of broke down some of those metrics that I think are important for these defensive ends in this era. 61 tackles, 7 sacks, so not as huge numbers, but he had a foot injury. All right, so he didn't get to play the last couple of weeks of the season. And I just think there's just a lot of raw talent there. I think he's a first-round guy as well. I think he just fits the prototype for what's going on in today's NFL. And I think, when it's all said and done, he could be if he takes care of his body and the way that, he could go from defensive end edge pressure to a D tackle later on in his career, kind of like we saw J.J. Watt do. Guess what? J.J. Watt still had over 10 sacks last year. Now, I'm not saying he's going to go out there and be J.J. Watt. I'm just saying he's got the size there, a wild card, kind of coming from Texas Tech, kind of a raw product. Jordan Brooks, I really liked him coming out. So they've got some good stuff going over there happening in that program, kind of an underrated football program at the moment. And then, man, I got 3 more, but just to kind of keep it with 3, I'll throw a real wild card out here, man. What about Will McDonald coming out of Iowa State? I just think
Let's
that he's
go.
Yeah.
I just think that there's some potential there. I mean, my God, he's got the size. He's got the, let's be honest. All right. Iowa State, not the big best program. All right. Not cranking out all the talent, but man, they had a good program last year. You know what I mean? And I just think there's potential there for him to come out, get drafted by the right team. Maybe they'll let him develop. I mean, 6'4", 245. He's right there, man. 36 tackles, 5 sacks. I think there's some potential there to come over and be a sack specialist. He's not so great at the run game, let's say. But if you're going to get in a sack league, maybe you got somebody you can put on a taxi squad. Because if he goes in the later round of the first, he could go to a good team that they sit behind, be like, hey, well, be mentored. We're going to develop you. Now, if he goes to in the early first round or early second round, they may be like, we need to get you out there right now. So there's potential both ways. All right, but he's a good disciplined kid. You're getting a good guy with him. You're not getting somebody with some kind of temper problem or attitude problem. That matters a lot to teams. And there's potential he could be guys up there with Nick Bosa, Max Crosby, Micah Parsons, Rashawn Gary. I think he could be a 14, 15, 16, 17 sack guy by the end of his rookie contract. So particularly in dynasty leagues, if you can kind of sit on a guy, because I think he's a guy, it's going to matter where he goes. It's going to matter where he goes. Okay. And you got to figure that out. Some of these other guys are going to be independent of where they go. They're just athleticism is going to show, but there's potential with Will McDonald to kind of be a very sneaky potential great player in this league. And yeah, that kind of rounded out my top 5. Like I said, I got a couple more, but I just thought I had to give that shot out there with Iowa State, show some Big 12 a little love. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Everybody that is part of the TTT knows that I am a Will McDonald guy. He was my favorite write-up. He's the guy that we watched at the Senior Bowl and you can ask Nino, he embarrassed the entire offensive line on day 2 of the Senior Bowl. It was Will McDonald's day, and huge fan of him. I'm with you. I think he's a great grab. Tyree Wilson, I think, is the next Daniil Hunter. I'm going to stay on that. I really do. But the healthy Daniil Hunter, not the hurt one. Cedric Gray, my last name's Gray. So obviously I'm always in on a person named Gray. I've got to know what's going on. You can ask Nino. Week 1, I called him out as the player to watch for the season defensively because they don't have a really deep defensive team, even though they just lost their best corner.
Right.
We knew, like, we had talked about Cedric Gray quite a bit. Not the biggest stature guy, but he's a better Jayon Brown, and that's the real truth. So
Facts.
Yeah, I think he could be a big hybrid guy. Like I said, I think there's potential there for him to be used almost like that safety, box-in safety, maybe like Jamal Adams. I mean, 99 tackles, 144 tackles. I mean, granted, your offensive program may not have been that well, but still, that's saying something. That's say he's flying to the football. He's doing film work. He's prepared. I mean, those things, that's what you want out of raw talent that you can develop.
Yeah. I love your entire list. So
yeah, I love the list too. I think Gray reminds me of a guy coming out this year from Memphis and Quindell Johnson. Over 100 tackles back-to-back years. This bulldog, always around the ball. If you're not paying attention, he'll spin your helmet around on you. Like that's just the way they play, like hard-nosed ball players. So I love the list, Icky. Before we send you out and bring in Coach, you had a couple more guys. Give me one more guy, one more sleeper.
Okay, man. How about Jalen Ford, man, out of University of Texas. I think there's potential him to go to the right spot. He could play inside. He could be a true defensive end. He could be a 3-4 defensive end. He could be a 3-4 outside linebacker. So there's potential for him to go out there and kind of get some rushes early. He could go late. He could sneak around and go to a good team where he doesn't have to kind of be the guy. And I also think there's potential of him just saying Bijan Robinson. every day, look, working against some greatness every day. That goes to show something. Tony Basoli and Willie McGinnis talked about them practicing at USC all the time and how they just iron sharpened iron. I don't know how much hitting practice they had, but I guarantee you they still got to he got to see those reps from Bijan Robinson quite often. And I think that's just helping him out.
Love it.
I love it.
Love it. All right, Iggy, I appreciate you. I really appreciate you coming on and giving us your guys. Before you leave, just tell people where they can find you again.
Yeah, man. Hey, guys, I really appreciate it. I love talking. I could have talked another hour over here. I didn't know how this was happening. I wanted to make sure I didn't get buffooned over here. You know what I'm saying? But IDP_Iggy, man. You can follow me there on Twitter. The sports affiliation, that's at the Sports Affili. Like I said, we got a lot of great stuff going on there. My big project right now is the game show, man. We're going to get Nino on there. So Toilets to Titles will be represented first Sunday of every. It's only Sundays, 12:05 p.m. on the East Coast, 9:05 a.m. on the West Coast. So just to make sure, right afternoon, if you're over there on the East, we get to down talk football. It's a little bit like Around the Horn, but we get over there and keep it with the guys that we know, fantasy, and support each other, man. So it's a lot of fun.
I can't wait, my man. I can't wait.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, fellas. I can't wait for the draft, man. We gotta
Thanks,
get
Iggy. Same.
Appreciate you. Next guy up is the Maestro.
What's happening?
What's
Man, I've been in the bottom, so I can do this.
Yeah. How do I follow all that up, man? How do I follow all that up? Iggy was just on here crushing it, man. Mace was crushing it, man. I'm the closer right now.
That's it. Mariano Rivera. Let's do
it.
Hit
the Metallica. Well, all right. So I'm coming in. I'm coming in with some guys. Y'all know. So I'm coming in late, right? So I'm coming in. I'm trying to go sleepers, right? So I'm not going necessarily. Y'all know. I heard Jared talk about his guys. You know how I feel about JL Skinner. That's a dude of mine, but Kalijah Cansey's a guy I like. But I'm going to come with some guys that maybe definitely the last guy I discussed is probably one that's not very well known. But I'm going to stop with Owen Popo from Auburn. Man, this dude, he's only 6 foot, 225 pounds. 5-star recruit coming out of high school on Bruce Feldman's freak list. This dude was number 8, 35.5-inch vertical, 4.39 40, and this dude is a thumper, man. 51 solo tackles this past year, 40 assists, 91 total, 3 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and interception. This guy gets around. He gets around. He's a little, all right. So I know I just used that word twice, so it's a little redundant. But he's a smaller fella. But don't let that fool you, because he does not mind taking on, like, if an offensive lineman gets a chance to get to the second level cleanly, he is not afraid to take you on. And sometimes it's to a detriment, because he will jack you in the chest, and sometimes that'll take you out of the play. But the way I envision Owen Popo at the next level, I see this guy, because he's speedy, because he's rangy, put him in a 4-2 defense, right? A lot of the offenses right now, we're seeing a lot of pass and attack, spread you out, even though, you got teams like the Cowboys. Some teams are trying to get back to the old school style of punch you in the mouth. But there's a lot of teams out there that are airing it out. And I think this guy can be on the field a lot. Like, if this was the 90s, maybe the early 2000s, I don't think so. But I think in today's NFL, I think we can see him a lot. He's just very physical. And I think I've seen him rush from the inside and I've seen him rush from the outside. I'm not going to compare him to a guy like Micah Parsons, I don't think, or even like a guy like DeMarvion Overshown from Texas, who was recruited as a safety, came in, and this guy can move. I don't think he's got the pass rushing moves that these guys have, but he's very quick. If we could teach him to bend a little bit, I've seen him come off the edge, and I'm pretty happy with what he can do off the edge. I even seen him with delayed blitzes. I like him coming off in the delayed blitz in the inside of the offensive line, because all he needs is a little bit of a gap. If he's got that gap and he's coming through in the delayed blitz, he can get to the quarterback. So this is he's probably a guy who's going to go somewhere. You got Jared, you'll probably be a little more on to this than I am, but I'd say probably in like the 4th round, somewhere around that. And then I'd say probably, towards the end of rookie drafts for IDP players. But I think this is a guy you can get a little late, 5-star recruit. Maybe he takes a step in the next level.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's a guy that, now that we brought him up, he won't drop as far, but, we appreciate that. Especially in a league that I'm with Nino. I'm in like 3 leagues with Nino that are IDP wise now. And he takes, obviously we've had a lot of conversations, And now he's so active that he just be grabbing players out of nowhere and like, we just talked about this dude 4 seconds ago. Are you doing this while we're talking? Like, I mean, I don't even get to get off the show. And so yeah, that's a guy that let's hope Nino forgets in the next 3 months, but I doubt he will. So
yeah, and then that brings me up to my second player. So my second player is a similar linebacker. So another undersized guy, roll wave, Tulane, Dorian Williams, senior,
love it.
6'1", 228 pounds. Now, this cat in 2022, I believe, in 2022, he led the American Conference in tackles with 81. In 2020, he led the American tackle in solo tackles with 64. So he's got the production. Like, this guy is a tackling machine. I don't think he's as physically gifted as a guy like Owen Popo, but I think he's a better coverage linebacker. So I also see him. I also see him as a guy who's going to be in nickel situations. He will chase you. He has a high motor. He's not the type of linebacker. I mean, this could be developed. So I'm not saying the coaching is bad at Tulane, but I'm saying with coaching, he might get a better understanding of how to read open windows and how to shoot. I didn't see a lot of him shooting open windows. I see a lot of run and chase tackles, which is still very good. Okay. But his coverage grade was 85.1 was his overall coverage grade per PFF. So that's like very, very strong. So teams aren't going to take him off. And then also he has over 700 career special teams reps. And you guys know how I feel about special teams players. So this guy came in and contributed day one. Coaches are going to love that. They're going to love that this guy's going to come in. He's going to be willing to take those special teams reps. He's going to get in on nickel situations. He can tackle. He's going to fit. Sometimes he runs a little bit too high over his toes. And now I'm getting into the analytic aspect of the player. And because of that, it causes him to misstep when he's adjusting. But these are all things that can be cleaned up. The chops are there. Great coverage grade. He's a tackler. He's a chase guy. High motor. I don't think, again, if this was the 90s or the early 2000s, I don't think he'd be a 3-down linebacker. But in today's NFL, at that size, it's not necessarily a disadvantage as long as he can navigate through clutter. If he can navigate through clutter, which he has shown he can do, he's going to be okay. If he can cover, which he's shown he can do at a high level, he's going to be okay. If he could tackle, which, again, he led the American Conference twice. He's shown he can do that. I think he had 7 passes defended, 2 forced fumbles, 8.5 tackles for loss, 5 sacks. All right. Like this guy's got 5 sacks. And that's with me saying he's not necessarily shooting open windows. Like, so these are all designed blitzes. He's coming up and getting those sacks. So I think the potential's there. And one thing I also noticed from him, he's got the knack. He's the type of player who gets better as the game goes on. I like guys like that too. So as an IDP player, you look at the stats, you look at the score early in the game and it's a little low, but then you love the guys that you look in the second half and he goes from having 5 points to 11 points, 12 points. So I like Dorian Williams. Again, it's roll wave. We've been Nino is gracious enough to kind of branch out to the Tulane community, and it's been great working with some of those guys this season, and I'm looking forward to seeing him at the next level.
Yeah, I'm with you. Go ahead.
Good.
So
I love Dorian.
I mean,
all right. We're both excited to talk about any kind of roll wave guy. So I love Dorian. I think he has a lot of similar traits that Overshawn has, and they also have some of the similar cons. Like sometimes Dorian just kind of gets lost out in coverage or where he's supposed to be. But my man, like you said, the motor never stops. He's a hard hitter. He's a great wrap tackler. I love the fact that he's not just like throwing an arm out there going full speed, try to open. My guy will wrap you up, bring it down, and throw you to the ground. So I love the fact you brought him out there. Nice pick, Coach.
Yeah, well, the guy like coming from Tulane, coming from a conference where he came from, coming from a team where they haven't had the most success, you could tell when you watch the film of anybody from Tulane that they do not skimp on the basics. Like wrapping, fitting, form tackling, like the running backs following your blocks, offensive linemen executing other blocks, because they might not have the elite talent at every level of the team. So all of these players, a lot of these players that I've watched, they don't skimp on the basics. And you could tell this guy, like he takes pride in doing the basics, and that works, man. And then you add, like I said, add the coverage ability. He only ran a 4.49, which I say only, like that's phenomenal. But right. Popo ran a 4.39. But the difference between them two is I don't see 4.39 from Popo I don't even know if I'm pronouncing this correctly. I believe I am, as based upon how I'm reading it. But I don't even see 4.39 speed from him sideline to sideline. Dorian Williams is a second slower on the 40. And to me, they look the same sideline to sideline. I think, Popo's a little bit more of a hammer, but Williams is a little bit better in coverage. So both guys, again, now I got my last guy, dude. My last guy, I have a deep sleeper. And I love safeties. So I love guys that can stick in the box, get a lot of tackles. I heard Iggy kind of bring up Jamal Adams. I don't think this cat can be Jamal Adams, but I'm thinking I like JL Skinner. If I can't hit on a guy like JL Skinner, I'm going to try to get this guy later on. I don't know what NFL teams think about him. All right, but this is Nico Bolden, his safety out of Kent State. He's a senior, fifth-year senior, 6'3", 208 pounds. What did he get? So I don't have his measurables. 40. He ran a 4.44 in the 40. This dude, his tackling numbers, let's see where he has. He has 63 total tackles, 39 assists, 63 solo, 39 assists, 102 total tackles. He was third in the MAC in solo tackles with 63 and ninth in the MAC in total tackles with 102. He had limited ball production, so I'm not looking at this as a guy who I'm thinking he's going to get passes defended, he's going to get interceptions. I don't think he's going to pad the stat sheet there, but he's long, he's fast, he's explosive, he can hit, and he gets a lot of tackles. So this is another guy, and these are different players, but we got Popo, we got Williams that are nickel linebackers. You're going to see a guy like Nico Bolden possibly. Again, he's only 208 pounds, but he's 6'3". This is the type of guy in a nickel defense against a spread offense that I would put in the linebacker position next to a guy like Popo or next to a guy like Dorian Williams. So I'm going to have my run and chase thumper linebacker, and then I'm going to have my coverage safety like a guy like Nico Bolden. That's what we're kind of seeing Dan Quinn do with Dallas with Jaron Kearse. I don't think he's as gifted or as talented as Jaron Kearse, but this is all traits. He's fast, he's explosive, lots of tackles, experienced, fifth-year senior. So this is a guy you'll probably be able to get Nico. I'm not telling you to draft Nico Bolden. I'm telling you to pay attention, see what the NFL thinks about him, because there was also limited film, very limited film on this guy. It was mostly highlights. I watched this film versus Ball State. I watched this film versus Eastern Michigan. So there wasn't a lot of film. At least I didn't find it. If you have it, you could send it to me on the Twitter at Coach Chefs. But let's see what the NFL thinks about him. If he gets drafted, 6th or 7th round, that's still decent, because we saw a guy like Marquise Bell come out of, I believe it was FAMU, go to Dallas last year. Similar type. I think he had better tape from what I've seen. But let's see if the NFL is interested in him. And you could probably get him after rookie drafts and just stash him. Put him on your taxi squad and see what happens.
Hell yeah, Coach. That's what I'm talking about. My man.
Yeah. That's it. It's closing it, man. It's closing it down.
Jared, let's close it out. Coach got a show to come on after this. He's doing his thing. I appreciate you coming on and giving us some IDP input on our show here. Jared, take us away.
Hey, so appreciate everybody coming on. Mays, Iggy, we got new guy, Rainey coming on. Coach Nino, as always. So glad we keep doing this. This might have to be something we do pretty regularly, moving up through the draft and through the especially in the off season. I think that it's going to be unanimous vote that this is going to happen more and more and more. Because we're all about let's go, let's grow, and we're growing here. I think we're about 30 subs away or so.
Yeah, 30 or so.
It fluctuates. It fluctuates.
30 subs away. When we hit 1,000, I've said this. I'm gonna stay with this. We will do a raffle of those 1,000, and I will buy that player jersey of their choice. I've said this since 200, I think, or something like that. So. Yeah. We're here. I'm not going to stay away from that. I got you. I'll take care of you. I'm also going to give a game worn jersey that I've been holding forever from TCU. So, all right, guys. Until next week. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.